This episode of Beyond the Backyard is brought to you by Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, Ultimate Deer Products, Edutrax Incorporated, Red Light Flute Pot Seed Company, Tacticam, and by Jay's Sporting Goods. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Backyard, where we talk all things hunting, fishing, and the great outdoors in Michigan. I'm your host, Steve Kredovic, and today we're going to be diving into some crucial topics for every deer hunter out there. But before we get started, let's not forget our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, Ultimate Deer Products, Red Light Flute Pot Seed Company, Edutrax Incorporated, Tacticam, and Jay's Sporting Goods. So, how to find the right spot to hang your tree stand, whether you're on a small property or deep in public land, choosing the right tree can make or break your season. So let's get into it. First, I want to start with sign and not sight. First things first, don't pick a tree just because it looks like a good spot. We've all done it. Big open view, comfortable tree, easy access. But here's the deal. Deer don't care about your comfort. They really don't. It's not about, and I think a lot of times we so much focus on the comfort, but they don't care how comfortable your sit is. They don't care how good of a view you have. They care about cover, they care about food, and they care about safety. So before you bring the stand out, walk your property, look for fresh sign, look tracks, droppings, rubs and scrapes, well-used trails. And when you find multiple trails verging, that's gold. I know last year when we moved to our new spot and I started hunting for the first time, I went out and looked at it. Especially in the wintertime, it was really easy to see where trails are at. When you got that snow there, you can really see how they're moving. And I found 5 different trails that converged into one spot, and that's where I put my stand, and it ended up being gold for me for the 2024 season. Can't stress this enough. Wind direction will ruin your hunt if you don't plan around it. Pay attention to where your stand's at. What's the primary wind going to be from that stand? What hunts can you hunt out of that stand based on the wind? You know, definitely want 2 choices if possible, if not more, so you can move depending upon how the wind is blowing for that day. But before you pick your stand tree, think about the prevailing wind in that area, what typically come from, where will the deer likely come from, and your entry and exit routes to that tree if you decide to put a stand inside it. You want to set up downwind or crosswind of wherever you expect the deer to come from, never upwind. I repeat, never upwind. You also want to think about cover and concealment. Now let's talk about the tree itself. Look for a tree with natural cover like branches or surrounding brush, a backdrop. Don't silhouette yourself against an open sky. It will get you destroyed every time. That's why typically, if you have the chance, but for me personally, being up here in North Michigan, we have a lot of pine trees, and I have decided I always hunt off a pine tree if I can. If I have a choice, I will always go up in a pine tree because you have so much backdrop cover that you don't get silhouetted very often. And then make sure you just like quiet access to that stand. No crunchy leaves or snapping twigs as you climb in. Quiet is key. Height matters too. On pressured land, going 20 to 25 feet up helps you keep your scent above the deer's noses. On private land with less pressure, sometimes 15 feet is fine, especially if you got good cover. Now, like back to my stand that I had last year, I told you I put up in that pine tree on that intersection. I'm only probably 10, maybe 12 feet, but 12 feet's pushing. I bet I'm closer to 10 feet, and I've had deer look right at me, and they can't see me just because I'm probably about 7 feet back into this pine tree because the branches stick out that far. And then I got so much back cover that they can't even pick out if they wanted to. They'll sit there and look at me, but they have no idea that I'm even there. So I have found that when you get good cover, not only in front of you, but behind you, you can really lower down to a lower height as far as where you put your stand at. Next thing you want to think about is your food and bedding in your funnels. So ideal stand locations often sit between bedding and food sources. Find travel routes deer use to get to food plots, ag fields, or oak flats in the evening. In the morning, reverse it. You know, where are they going to feed? Look for funnels, places where terrain naturally pinches the deer movement, like creek crossings, saddles and ridges, fences with breaks, thick cover bottlenecks. That's where mature bucks like to move during the day hours. Then you have to think about your entry and your exit routes. My last tip is, and this one gets overlooked a lot, you can have the perfect stand location, but if you can't get in and out without blowing deer out, it's useless. You could have the best spot in the world back in this spot where there's deer everywhere. You got deer in all over, you see tons of deer. But you have to walk through so much either bedding area or spots where they're typically at, and you're busting the deer out every time just to get back to your spot. You kind of have a useless spot if you can't get to it. So, like I said, you can have the perfect location, but if you can't get in and out, it doesn't make it worth it at all. You're just killing your time. Always land low impact routes with wind in your favor, natural cover, minimal noise. Sometimes a great spot is only good for certain winds, and that's okay. Hang multiple stands and be flexible. Obviously, the bigger your property you have, the more chance you have to put more stands up. If you're hunting with a small parcel, if you can at least hopefully get 2 up so you can play the wind in different days, that would be great to help maximize your hunts. Hanging the perfect tree stand isn't just about luck, it's about scouting smart, playing the wind, and thinking like a deer. If you put the work in before the season starts, your odds go way up when it matters most. Well, I hope that we were able to give you some tips when you go out there to hang your new stand for the first time. I hope that we could give you some tips that maybe put you in line to have a successful 2025 Michigan deer season or wherever you may be hunting. But thanks for listening to Beyond the Backyard. If this has helped you out, share it with your buddies, hit that follow button, and stay tuned for more tips as we get closer to the season. Until next time, stay safe and shoot straight.